Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that might shake you a little. Success is not a comfortable procedure. So many people walk around hoping that one day, somehow, success will just show up, that it will knock on their door like a friendly neighbor bringing cookies. But let me break the illusion. Success doesn't show up. You've got to chase it. You've got to fight for it. You've got to bleed for it. Comfort is the killer of dreams. Think about it. When have you ever grown in your life while sitting back, relaxed, and cozy? Growth never comes from the couch. Growth comes from the fire. It comes from the days when you don't feel like getting up, but you do anyway. It comes from the nights when you're exhausted, but you push through because you know what you're fighting for. The truth is, most people aren't willing to get uncomfortable. They want the results without the resistance. They want the trophy without the training, but you and I know it doesn't work like that. If you want success, you have to train your mind to fall in love with the grind. You have to become obsessed with progress, and you must understand this. Every setback, every rejection, every sleepless night is not a punishment. It's a down payment on your dream. Ask yourself right now, am I willing to sacrifice comfort for greatness? Because that's the dividing line. That's what separates those who talk about success from those who actually live it. Your breakthrough will never come while you're sitting in comfort. It will come when you step into discomfort, when you embrace the struggle, and when you refuse to quit even though quitting seems easier. So if you're tired, good. If you're scared, good. If you're uncomfortable, perfect. That means you're in the exact place where transformation begins. Remember this. Success is not a comfortable procedure. It's a courageous one. Now go claim what's yours. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Every time you choose comfort, you choose to stay the same. Comfort whispers that you can wait until tomorrow, that you've already done enough, that pushing harder isn't worth it. But comfort is a liar. It's the silent assassin of potential, the invisible chain that keeps people stuck in the same place year after year, wondering why their lives never change. When you live in comfort, you stop challenging yourself. You stop testing your limits. You stop reaching for the next level because you're too busy protecting what you already have. And the truth is, nothing great has ever been achieved by staying comfortable. Think about the times in your life when you grew the most. It wasn't when everything was easy. It wasn't when you had all the answers. It was when you were pushed into situations that demanded more from you than you thought you could give. Growth comes in the moments when you're stretched, when you're scared, when you don't know if you're going to make it. But you move forward anyway. That's the crucible where strength is forged. Comfort, on the other hand, robs you of those moments. It convinces you that avoiding pain is safer than facing it, and in doing so, it steals your future. Most people don't realize that comfort and growth cannot coexist. You cannot have both at the same time. If you want to grow, you must be willing to leave behind the familiar. The familiar is warm, it's safe, it's predictable, but it's also stagnant. It keeps you tied to the same habits, the same patterns, the same level of results you've always had. Growth demands risk. Growth demands you step into the unknown, that you do what feels uncomfortable and unfamiliar until it becomes second nature. Every great achiever understands this. They've learned to stop running from discomfort and start running toward it. They've trained their minds to see discomfort not as a threat, but as a signal that they're on the right path. Because discomfort means you're breaking old limitations. It means you're rewriting your story. It means you're expanding into the person you were meant to become. Comfort is seductive because it tells you that you can avoid pain. But what it doesn't tell you is that choosing comfort is actually choosing a different kind of pain. The pain of regret. The pain of looking back one day and realizing you never gave your full effort, that you never tested your real potential. That kind of pain lasts a lifetime, and it's far heavier than the temporary discomfort of growth. Discomfort, on the other hand, is temporary. The soreness after a workout fades, but the strength remains. The fear before a bold decision passes, but the freedom it creates lasts. The late nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices, They're uncomfortable, yes, but they build resilience, character, and confidence that can never be taken from you. When you train yourself to embrace discomfort, you begin to rewire how you see challenges. Instead of avoiding the difficult, you start seeking it out. Instead of shying away from pressure, you use it as fuel. You understand that comfort may feel good in the moment, but it's discomfort that builds the future you want. The reality is, your comfort zone is not your friend. It may feel safe, but it is a prison disguised as a sanctuary. It limits your vision, it restricts your potential, and it convinces you that good enough is all you're capable of. The walls of that prison are built from excuses. I'm tired. I'll do it tomorrow. It's too hard. I don't have the time. And the longer you listen to those excuses, the stronger those walls become. But outside those walls lies everything you've ever wanted: achievement, purpose, fulfillment, and impact. And the only way to break free is to choose discomfort over ease, to lean into the challenges instead of running from them. Every step you take into discomfort chips away at the walls of your limitations, and with each chip, you grow stronger, braver, and more unstoppable. Success demands sacrifice and discipline. Nothing worth while in life comes without a price, and that price is always paid in advance. People often say they want success, but when they see the cost, they hesitate. They want the lifestyle, the freedom, the respect, the impact, but they don't want the sacrifices that come with it. Success requires giving up the temporary pleasures that most people cling to. It means choosing the harder path when the easy one is right in front of you. It means waking up earlier than you want to, staying up later than you feel like, saying no when everyone else is saying yes, and keeping promises to yourself even when no one else is watching. Discipline is the backbone of sacrifice. Without discipline, every intention stays just an idea. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's the refusal to let emotions dictate your actions. Success doesn't wait for motivation to show up. It requires consistency, and consistency is born from discipline. The greatest achievers aren't the ones who always feel inspired. They're the ones who show up regardless of how they feel. They don't rely on moods, they rely on habits. They build routines so strong that even on their worst days, they still take action. Sacrifice means giving up something good for something better. It's the willingness to say no to short-term comfort in exchange for long-term gain. Most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they refuse to sacrifice what is comfortable now for what they want later. They choose a night of entertainment over a night of progress. They choose immediate gratification over lasting fulfillment. But success demands that you flip that choice. It demands that you prioritize what will move you forward, even when it feels inconvenient, even when it feels like you're missing out. Discipline and sacrifice also mean you must give up old versions of yourself. The person you are today has brought you to this point, but if you want to reach the next level, you cannot stay the same. You must sacrifice the excuses that have kept you safe. You must discipline your mind to think bigger, to stop settling, to believe that more is possible. You must let go of toxic habits, unproductive routines, and limiting beliefs. Success will ask you to outgrow the environment that once felt comfortable, and sometimes it will even ask you to outgrow relationships that no longer align with your vision. This is why so many people never achieve real success. They underestimate the weight of discipline and the cost of sacrifice. They want the result, but not the responsibility. They want the harvest without the planting, the applause without the grind, the destination without the journey. But life doesn't work that way. Success is a transaction, and the currency is sacrifice. You either pay the price now with discipline, or you pay later with regret. When you truly understand this, sacrifice doesn't feel like punishment anymore. It becomes a choice you embrace because you know what you're working toward. Discipline stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like freedom because it creates structure, power, and momentum in your life. Every act of discipline is a vote for your future. Every sacrifice is an investment in your destiny, and the more you pay up front, the richer your results will be when the time comes. Success is never handed to anyone. It doesn't show up because you hoped for it, wished for it, or daydreamed about it. It shows up because you paid for it with sweat, with focus, with consistency, and with sacrifice. It shows up because you chose discipline when everyone else chose distraction. It shows up because you refused to quit when quitting felt easier. It shows up because you decided that your dream was worth more than your comfort. Pain and struggle are down payments on your dream. Every dream that's ever been realized has been purchased with a price, and that price is never easy. People see the glory, the recognition, the achievement, but they don't see the struggle it took to get there. They don't see the sleepless nights, the setbacks, the sacrifices, the times when quitting seemed like the only option. What they don't realize is that pain is not a sign you're failing. It's proof that you're moving forward. Struggle is not punishment. It's the currency that buys success. Pain teaches you lessons that comfort never could. It shapes your character, sharpens your resilience, and forces you to discover strengths you didn't know you had. When you're in pain, when life is pressing you, when every step feels heavy, you're being forged into someone capable of holding the weight of your dream. Dreams aren't handed to people who aren't prepared to carry them. They're given to those who endure the struggle long enough to prove they're worthy of the reward. Every time you struggle, you're making a down payment. Every rejection, every failure, every moment of doubt is not wasted. It's building equity in your future. You may not see the results yet, but the process is at work. Just like a seed in the soil, growth is happening underground before it ever breaks the surface. Pain and struggle are part of that underground process. Without them, there is no harvest. Without them, your dream would collapse the moment you touched it. Most people try to avoid pain. They want a shortcut, an easier road, a way around the struggle. But the truth is, struggle is unavoidable if you're chasing something meaningful. Avoiding pain doesn't eliminate it. It only delays it. The difference is that when you avoid the pain of discipline, sacrifice, and hard work, you inherit the far heavier pain of regret later. One pain builds you, the other breaks you. The choice is yours. Struggle also reveals how badly you really want it. Anyone can dream when it's comfortable, when it costs nothing, when the path is smooth. But the moment pain enters the picture, most people fold. They decide it's too hard, too unfair, too much to bear. That's where the separation happens. The ones who push through the struggle, who endure the pain, who keep going despite everything screaming at them to stop. Those are the ones who cash in on the dream. The pain you're experiencing now is not a sign to stop. It's the universe asking, how much do you want this? Pain and struggle are also great equalizers. They don't care where you come from, what resources you have, or what advantages you started with. Everyone has to pay in some form. The question is not whether you will experience struggle. It's whether you will endure long enough to let that struggle shape you instead of break you. The people who rise are not the ones without obstacles. They're the ones who decided their dream was worth the struggle. Every dream has a cost, and pain is the installment plan. The sleepless nights, the self-doubt, the criticism, the failures, all of these are part of the payments. Each one you make brings you closer to the dream, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. When you're in the middle of the struggle, it's hard to see the payoff. But pain is not permanent. Struggle is not forever. They are bridges you must cross to reach the life you want. If you avoid paying the price, you forfeit the dream. But if you embrace the pain, if you welcome the struggle as proof that you're on the right path, you transform into someone unstoppable. Every hardship becomes part of your story. Every setback becomes part of your strength. and every ounce of pain becomes part of the foundation that holds up your dream. Breakthroughs come through discomfort, not ease. Every person who has ever achieved something extraordinary had to step into places that felt uncertain, painful, and demanding. Discomfort is the environment where transformation is born. It's the signal that you're stretching beyond your current capacity, that you're leaving behind what you know for the possibility of what you could become. Ease feels good, but it keeps you stagnant. Discomfort feels challenging, but it's the very friction that ignites change. When you stay in ease, you live inside a box built by your habits, your routines, and your fears. That box feels safe, but it is a cage disguised as comfort. The moment you choose to step out of that box, you meet resistance. Resistance from your mind telling you to go back. Resistance from your body screaming for relief. Resistance from the world that expects you to stay the same. And yet, it is in that very resistance that breakthroughs are formed. Discomfort is the teacher of resilience. When you willingly embrace situations that test your limits, you begin to realize that the discomfort you fear doesn't break you. It builds you. It builds mental toughness, emotional strength, and an unshakable belief in your ability to overcome. Every time you step into discomfort, you teach yourself that you can handle more than you thought possible. That lesson compounds, and soon the challenges that once terrified you become stepping stones toward your next breakthrough. Breakthroughs don't happen when everything is smooth and easy. They happen when you're pushed to the edge, when you've run out of excuses, when you're forced to dig deeper than you ever imagined. They happen in the long hours no one else sees, in the sweat, the fear, the doubt, and the relentless decision to keep moving forward. Ease never demands that level of commitment. Discomfort forces it out of you. People often ask for a break, through while clinging tightly to comfort, but the two cannot coexist. You cannot break through a barrier while holding on to what feels safe. You must be willing to let go, to risk failure, to embrace uncertainty. Breakthroughs are not about chance. They are about choice. The choice to stay in discomfort long enough for it to transform you. Discomfort strips away illusions. It shows you what you're truly made of. In moments of ease, you can pretend you're committed, pretend you're strong, pretend you're ready, but discomfort reveals the truth. It exposes your fears, your doubts, and your weaknesses, and in doing so, it gives you the opportunity to face them head on. That's where real growth happens, when you stop running from your weaknesses and start turning them into strengths. The irony is that discomfort, as painful as it feels in the moment, is temporary, but the break through it delivers is permanent. The tough workout eventually ends, but the strength remains. The difficult decision eventually passes, but the freedom it creates lasts. The uncomfortable conversations, the risks, the sacrifices, they may sting now, but they pave the way for a life you could not access through comfort. Breakthroughs are not handed out to the lucky. They're earned by those who are willing to endure the stretch of discomfort without backing down. They are earned by those who keep going when it would be easier to quit. By those who push past the voice in their head telling them they can't. By those who understand that discomfort is not the enemy, but the evidence that they are on the right path. Ease will tempt you with promises of safety and relief, but it cannot deliver transformation. Discomfort delivers transformation because it forces you to expand beyond who you are now. It demands that you grow, adapt, and evolve. And every time you do, you unlock a level of strength, clarity, and power that you could never have found inside the walls of comfort. Success is not comfortable, it's courageous. Courage is the heartbeat of success because it requires you to move forward even when fear, doubt, and uncertainty surround you. Comfort asks you to stay where it's safe, to repeat what you already know, to avoid the risk of failure. But success demands that you step into the unknown, that you act before you feel ready, that you push beyond the limits of what feels possible. It takes courage to leave behind the familiar in pursuit of the extraordinary. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to act despite it. Every person chasing success feels fear. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of not being good enough. The difference is that courageous people don't wait for fear to disappear. They don't wait for perfect conditions or guaranteed results. They move forward anyway, knowing that fear is part of the process. And in doing so, they prove to themselves that fear is not a barrier but a compass pointing to where growth lies. Success requires courage because the path is never straight and never easy. You will encounter obstacles, setbacks, and failures that test your resolve. Comfort tells you to stop, to turn back, to settle for less. Courage tells you to keep going, to push harder, to believe that something greater lies beyond the struggle. It's that inner voice that whispers, "You didn't come this far to only come this far." Courage also demands that you take ownership of your life. It's easy to blame circumstances, to point at the economy, your past, or the people around you. But courage looks in the mirror and says, "It's on me." That ownership is uncomfortable because it leaves you with no excuses, but it's the very thing that gives you power. When you take responsibility, you take control. And when you take control, you can shape your future no matter what obstacles stand in the way. Being courageous means being willing to stand alone when necessary. Success often requires choices that others won't understand. People may doubt you, criticize you, or tell you that you're crazy for pursuing your vision. Comfort would have you seek approval and acceptance, but courage allows you to stand firm in your conviction even when you feel isolated. That kind of strength doesn't come from comfort. It comes from the fire of courage burning inside you. Courage is also the willingness to fail publicly and get back up stronger. Success is not a straight line. It's a series of falls, recoveries, and lessons. Comfort tells you to avoid failure at all costs, to protect your ego, to stay small so you won't get hurt. Courage says that failure is not the end but the beginning of wisdom. Every time you fail and rise again, you build resilience, and resilience is one of the greatest assets you can have on the road to success. Success being courageous also means doing the hard things when no one is watching. It's easy to put on a brave face in front of others, but true courage shows up in the quiet moments, the late night work sessions, the sacrifices no one applauds, the persistence when the progress feels invisible. Those are the acts of courage that compound into breakthroughs over time. Comfort convinces you that courage is too costly, that it's better to stay safe, to settle, to avoid the risk. But the real cost of avoiding courage is living a life of what-ifs. The price of comfort is regret, and regret weighs heavier than any fear you'll ever face. Choosing courage means you choose growth over regret, possibility over safety, and purpose over ease. When you practice courage, it becomes a habit. At first, every step outside your comfort zone feels terrifying. But with repetition, courage becomes your new normal. You begin to trust yourself more, to take bigger risks, to pursue greater challenges. And with each act of courage, you expand your capacity for success. Courage feeds on itself, creating momentum that comfort could never provide.